Hello, fellow fantasy sports junkies. We're back. It's MFSN's Q&A every Tuesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m., wherever that is. I don't know where it is. So, oh, look, we have a visitor, and it is Cornman. Welcome back, Cornman. One of my all-time favorites now. He says, hello. Hello, Cornman. Tell us what's new. And I want to report back to the people who are watching that Cornman did propose the trade. It sounded like it got accepted and then vetoed. We have a lot to talk about, Cornman. So you tell us what happened with that. But while we're waiting for you, because I'm not going to force anybody to comment. That's not the way we roll here. But if you want to comment, I'd be happy to talk to you. Also, let's remember, if you want to come on the show, you can go to www.callmfsn.com and we will. Sam Jacobowitz, our MVP of the chat room, came in, but he first said hell, then he said hello. That's more polite. I appreciate that, Sam. No worries. It made for a good joke. I appreciate it. So we're going to talk about a variety of things today. You know, there's going to be questions, there's going to be answers. And I'm going to do the answers. You guys do the questions. I might ask some questions. You guys can give some answers if you want. But in addition, I'm going to be looking at my league or maybe some other leagues at some point. This is something I want to talk about on this show. If you guys are interested in having us look at your leagues, we will find a way to do it. We just don't want you to have to give us your login information in front of everyone else. So we're going to have you get in touch with us and move from there. So I'm going to take this statement from Cornman. He's going to update us, and then I'm going to get to some of the news. Oh, I should mention, though, this is it's a night in sports where we're all probably thinking a lot of the same thing because Tiger Woods was in a terrible car accident. I don't know about you all. I immediately thought of Kobe Bryant. The minute I heard Tiger Woods was in an accident, I was like, oh, no, not again. The latest reports are that he has pretty severe damage to his legs, but they're not life-threatening. Broken ankle on one side and a compound fracture of the leg on the other side. So it's going to be a long time before he's playing golf, but thankfully he is alive. We are, send our thoughts out to Tiger and all of his family and people. Now, Cornman says no new changes this week besides picking up Norman Powell and him being good for me. Good pickup, Cornman. Norman Powell has been a very underrated player. Let's start with that, okay? So we can look at all kinds of things. The great thing about when you're just hanging out, playing some fantasy sports, is you can look at all kinds of different aspects of things. You can look at a specific player. You can look at how players are doing of late. You can look at trade targets. You can look at your other teams. I mean, when I first started playing fantasy sports, this is why I got sucked in and lost my job and home. No, I'm kidding. That did not happen. I scared Courtney there. I'm just joking. I just got very into fantasy, but I kept everything. Don't worry. Okay, let's look at how Norman Powell has been doing for not just for Cornman, but for everybody. Norman Powell, currently on the team Boom Shakalaka by my friend Lauren, who used to be on MFSN. He's ranked 89th overall. And let's see what he's doing. Now, these are the average stats. Remember, I always talk about how there's average stats and total stats, and you have to understand what they mean. So these are the average stats over a good chunk of time. So this is pretty reliable information. It's not like he's played 3 games and these are his average stats. He's got 2.4 threes a game. His free throws are outstanding. His field goal percentage is good. Good points, good steals. Not a whole lot else, but his turnovers are pretty low. I didn't mean to do that. No, let's go back to that. Oh, there we go. I don't even know what that was. How did I do that? Okay, so let's look at, everyone knows I like to do last 14 days, and when I do total, I'm aware there could be less games played. Let's say Norman Powell played 3 games instead of 4. He's going to have less stats, but look at this. This is in the last 14 days. He's piled up 155 points. So that's over 10 points a day. Now, obviously, he's not playing every day, so there's a lot of points in there. And his steals are pretty solid. His free throw percentage is great. His field goal percentage is up. He ranks 40th overall. So I can see, Cornman, why you've liked Norman Powell. Now, Sam Jacobowitz is saying the trade market is very, very dry in his league. So, Sam, I can't remember how many teams you said was in your league. I certainly know it's a points league by now. I think it's a 10-team league, if I'm remembering correctly, but it's either that or 12. So you tell me. But when you say the trade market is dry, that could mean many different things. And so one of the things I wonder about is, how well do you know the managers in your league? Sometimes you can be playing in a league where you don't know the people that well, and so they don't respond to you in the trade. Or maybe, you've dealt with them before, and this has happened to me where I've sent trades, sometimes, not the best trades. You're trying to get away with a deal and you send something and they get insulted, and then you've got to work on that trade relationship. So could be that the trade relationships are not going smoothly. It could be a league where people are not very responsive. That's one of my least favorite types of leagues. The only league that I dislike more than unresponsive ones are the ones where there's a lot of aggression and anger and nastiness. We're here to have fun, people. Don't bring that to fantasy sports. Don't bring that anywhere. Bring that to your therapist. And don't even do that. I'm a therapist. Don't do that, please. No, we're people too. Okay, so Sam, let's talk about why the trade market's dry in your league. In my baseball league, we have lots and lots of trading. There's more room to trade in baseball than anywhere else. The benches are the deepest. You've got 25 players. In basketball, typically you've got maybe 13 players. So the matchups for trades may not be working out as well. But you want to find your trade partners. You want to find who's going to work well with you and rely on them. And here's the other thing. Even if you don't get a trade done, all of your interactions can go towards a later trade. So this is why you never waste an interaction. I never understand people who just reject a trade without saying anything. That's extremely unhelpful, and it's not going to build a trade relationship. Courtney and I were talking about this before. Right, Courtney? Yes, you know I have it. So here's the thing. You want to use your words like a big boy or a big girl, and find out what's going on. Here's what I like to do. It's great if you can get the contact information away from just the trades. If you say, hey, can I have your email? Or if you, obviously you don't want to be too pushy about it because some people will get annoyed about that. But if you can get maybe their email, or even better, their text, if you know them at all, or you're planning to be in a league with them for a while, then you can say, hey, I wanted to run a trade idea by you. And then you don't have to just send a trade that could end up insulting them. And then you can start a trade by saying, hey, I'm looking for this kind of player. What are you looking for? This is very important with trades. Find out what your opponent needs and work on giving them that. You want to make your trade partner happy also, because then you can come back and utilize that again. I'm going to get to your question in a second, Cornman. But first, I realized I didn't say that for anybody who is new here, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, because then you know when we're coming live or when we're coming on for another show. And hit like if you like what you're hearing. Put your comments below. I am very responsive to these comments. So I respond to every single one of them. And I want you to make me eat my words. Give me so many comments that I can't get it covered. But I will try. Cornman, here is your question. Are there any good buy low 3-point shooters on the market right now? Now, Cornman, if I remember correctly, you're in a 10-team league. I think it was an 8-category league, if I'm remembering correctly. No turnovers, but not a points league. Tell me if I'm wrong about that. But as a result, what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the players. I'm going to have to use my league just for our information. But Cornman, I'm going to estimate this based on your league. So I'm going to go to all players. And let's see. If you have a 10-team league and you've got, let's say, 13 players on each team, that means about 130 players are owned. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the preseason rankings, and we're going to go to number 130. It's not always going to work out just like this, but good. I got your league stats right. That's what I like to hear. So we're going to go to number 130 and see who's, oh, you know what? No, I'm doing this wrong because you were looking for 3-point shooters. Forget it. Scratch what I said. Now, that would be a way to search for players in general. But if you're looking for 3-point shooters, let's go straight to the source. 3-point average. Now, Let's take a look at something. Steph Curry is averaging 5 3-pointers a game. Obviously, he's not going to be out there. We know that. But that's still astounding. And I just wanted to say it. Who's averaging 4.8? McCollum was on fire, but then he went down. And now you look, the next best guy is Lillard. Then it goes all the way to 3.7. Buddy Hield is a guy that you could have gotten pretty cheap, and he's a great 3-point shooter. But they're not available. When we come down here, this guy's ranked 71st. That's when you can start. 151. Here's a 3-point shooter that you can get. I'm almost positive. Duncan Robinson should probably be available. Okay. He is 68% owned. In a 10-team league, he's going to be kind of on the brink. So I'd be looking at him. He's averaging 3.3 threes a game, and he should be gettable. Gary Trent Jr., here's another guy. Check him out. Joe Harris, he probably is not available because his ranking is high enough. And let's look at why. Well, it's actually because his shooting percentage is so high. So he's not an ideal target because you're probably not going to find him because of his ranking. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is another one. Yep, here he is. And he's free in my league. This is in a 12-team league, and he's free. And you know who cut him free? I did, but here's why. He had only 2 games last week, and I didn't have use for that. And then this week I had other needs. Will I go to pick him up? We shall see. I'm not going to tell you yet because I don't want to give away my secrets. So those are some ideas that I would say are good pickups that shoot threes. David Burton's is another guy I'm looking at. See here it says he's ranked 167. That'll tell you he's probably not going to be owned. He hits 2.9 threes a game. That would be a good pickup. Devontae Graham, you're unlikely to get Devontae Graham because he gets a good amount of assists. But anyways, those are some examples that I would go for in the 3-point market. Now, we've got a question from Casey Scheinbold. You frequently talk about the underlying numbers that show whether they're lucky or good. What are those underlying numbers? Excellent question, Casey Scheinbold. Yes. Let's see. I'm going to answer Cornman first, Casey, because, you're part of the staff. So hold on a second. Cornman says the only player I feel comfortable dropping right now is Mike Conley. So you're in a 10-team league with no turnovers. I'm just going to check out Mike Conley and see, is this someone that you should be dropping for someone on the wire? Okay. Now, Cornman, here's the thing. Mike Conley is averaging 2.8 threes a game. That's as good as anyone you're going to get out there. Now, let me just check and see how he's been doing in the last 14 days. One of my favorite stats. He's ranked 55th. He's hitting 3. Do not drop Mike Conley. Don't do it. Don't do it. Cornman, let's talk about other players you might feel comfortable dropping. I really would not drop Conley. He's averaging 2 steals a game over the last 14 days. I want to see what he's averaging over the last 30 days. And then we're going to get back to Casey Scheinbold and the staff. I really would not give up Conley, even in a 10-team league. Hold on to him there. Let's talk about other ideas. All right, back to Casey's question. I frequently talk about the underlying numbers that show whether they're lucky or good. What are those underlying numbers? Okay. I'm going to show you an example. Let's look at one of my least favorite players in the league. Sorry, Marcus Morris Sr., it's you. I don't like you that much because in the days where the Cavs had LeBron James, you were very obnoxious. In fact, my nephew used to call you Chunky Morris. I don't even know why. You're pretty strong looking to me. But anyways, Marcus Morris Sr., look, he's shooting almost 90% from the free throw line, and that's going to boost up his value. Now, I want to see, what did he do last year? Well, let's look at his career. No, actually, that won't show up in the stats very well. So we're going to look at his season average from free throws. You see it's much lower. This is not a stat you can likely rely on. And in fact, let's see, if we go back to 2018 to that, it's 844. So he's a good free throw shooter, but he's going to come down in that. And that means some of his value is going to come down. Now I'm going to go back to his stats for the year and see what else is kind of lucky. Now, let's look at the last 14 days total, and it's going to be a high ranking. Yep, he ranks 60th. But He's on the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard was out. Paul George was out. Marcus Morris Sr. had much more of a role to play. These numbers are not going to add up. Now, here's another reason I don't love him. No steals, no blocks. I mean, 3 steals and 3 blocks is not terrible, but he's not doing much there. So this is the kind of player, I didn't mean to single him out. Actually, yes, I did. What am I talking about? I meant to single him out. But I can single out other players too. I just use him as an example for ways to look at players whose numbers aren't going to keep adding up. Casey, I love that question. You know I love that sort of thing. We just talked about it in our Full Court Press basketball strategy episode, which will be coming out soon. We're catching up on those. They're all coming out soon. We're going to look at numbers that don't add up and how you can decipher which numbers matter, which ones don't. Okay, let's talk about, we got Ross the Boss here. Boss is here. He says, picking him up now. He must have been talking about one of my 3-point specialists. Is Sabin Lee the real deal? Let's find out who this guy is. Who are you talking about? Sabin Lee. There he is. Point guard. Ross. I don't even know who this guy is. That's amazing. All right, hold on. Let's find out if he's the real deal. I see Sam says, I'm back. Sorry about that. Welcome back, Sam. I don't even remember what my question was to you. But if you remember it, let me know. Let me scroll up and see, actually. Hold on. What were we talking about, Sam? Trade market is very dry. Yes. So get back to me on why you think the trade market's dry, and we'll troubleshoot together. So I want trades to happen even outside of my league. Okay, let's see. Sabin Lee. Didn't even know who he was, Ross the Boss. I see you say Kevin Love is about to come back. Pick him up. Probably not unless you're in a 14 or 16 team league. I think he's done. Sabin Lee, he's getting huge numbers. The last 2 games, see his minutes right here? Is that out of the screen? Yeah, let me move over. Okay, he's got 28 minutes in the last game, 32 in the game before that. This is one of the reasons that Ross is even looking at this guy. When his minutes go up, and he's got 12 points in one game, 21 in the last, 4 assists. Listen, Ross, I don't know if he's for real, but he is somebody I would add to my watch list, and then I'd look into at the waiver wire day and see. So I'll tell you what, just for you, adding him to my watch list. That's how you do it. You click the star. Okay, let's see. We've got Blake Griffin worth holding. That is okay. Now let's think about that in terms of Casey's question too. Is Blake Griffin worth holding, and are any of his stats reliable for us to look at, or is there something else going on? I'm going to first check in the last 14 days. He ranks 166th overall. I'm not liking what I'm seeing there. 33 minutes. Now, this is a number you can rely on. If you're seeing the minutes are always there, that player is more likely to hold good value. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be great anyway, because look, Blake Griffin's shooting 37% from the field. He was never great at that sort of thing, but it's probably because he's not dunking anymore, which used to boost up his percentage. But that's pretty low. That's going to bring his average down. 1.73s. He's really not doing that much of anything. Is he a hold? Listen, in a 12-team league like we have, I could see him potentially being a hold, especially if he's on your injured spot. Then, sure, he's a good stash. But the fact is, Blake Griffin at this point in fantasy is a role player at best. Probably you can cut him. Bogdanovich, one of the Bogdanovich. I don't even know if they're brothers. They're Bogdanovich people. Let's see. Did I spell that wrong? I didn't spell. Oh, it's filled in the H, or did I put in the H? Okay. So you're talking about Bogdan. Bogdan, I believe, is on Atlanta. I just need to make sure I have the right Bogdanovich. Yes, I do. Look at that smile. Look at that punum. Oh, my goodness. Okay, now, let's see how he's been doing. Last 14 days, that's where I like to start. Well, he's obviously injured, so we're not doing much in the last 14 days. Let's check on his injury. No updates from Yahoo. They're not even interested. Okay, well, we're going to have to look at this differently. I'm going to have to pull up his numbers like in his career. So worth holding. Let's find out here. What was he doing before? No blocks, no steals, low points. you could stash him on your injured list, but I wouldn't say someone that I'd be looking to keep even in a 12-team league. Aaron Gordon. The next question, is he worth holding? Aaron Gordon ranks 219th overall. Let's see what he did last year. Okay, that's where we're going to start with Aaron Gordon. 85th overall, so pretty good, and 32 minutes a game. Now, let's see his underlying stats, though. See, I love to see a guy who has more steals and blocks. Those kind of players, they add more value overall. If you have steals and blocks, and then you see players are scoring, 13 points or higher, their threes are over 1, their assists are over, hopefully 5, their free throw percentage is good. So here's the thing. Aaron Gordon's free throw percentage, not that good. His percentages aren't that good, so he's got to do a lot of stuff. Let's see what he did in total last year. He's never really been on my radar because look at, he often hovers around 118 or lower, but his minutes per game are good. 894 points, 475 rebounds. See, he's just so middling in everything. So he's okay. He's not my favorite target, but if you can pick him up for cheap and stick him on your injured and have him injured list and have him kind of as a back end guy, I like that pretty much. All right, Sam, any details about your trade dryness in your league? Let me know. Yeah, he's back for real now. I knew it. I knew he was coming back. Listen, I'm going to pause for a second, remind everybody, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. If you have already subscribed, do not click subscribe because that will unsubscribe you. And that is not what we're looking for. Okay, thank you. How do I feel? Oh, Sam is asking, how do I feel about Pascal Ciaco? I love that guy. Okay, there's a lot of reasons I like him. One of the reasons I like him is he's an underdog. I'm from Cleveland. I like the underdogs all the time. But the other thing about Pascal Ciaco, the reason he's an underdog is he wasn't that highly touted coming out of college. Ross the Boss would know exactly where he went to college. I thought it was New Mexico State. It was! Ross, I got it right. You must be so proud of me. Yes. Okay, so Pascal Ciaco, he was drafted in the late first round. But that's not, in the NBA, that's not a lot of respect. So let's see what he's been doing, though. He's playing huge minutes a game. His points are great. His assists are great. His rebounds are very solid. I mean, I love Pascal Ciaco. Let's see how he's been doing. I think he's been doing even better in the last, let's say 14 days. Yep, even better. Ranks 38th overall. Why do people hate on Siakam so much? Sam's asking, why? I don't know. Sam, what do you think? Why do you think he has so many haters? I can't figure it out for the life of me. I mean, he seems like a very likable guy. He's an underdog, and he's a great fantasy sports player, but he never gets the credit he deserves. And I think it's just like that's what he was like coming out of college, and I think people still think that he's like that. But look, when I look at him, there's nothing not to like here. I mean, his field goal percentage leaves something to be desired, but his free throw percentage makes up for it. He's got the threes. Look at his points, his rebounds, his assists, his steals. He does everything. This guy, listen, if you can pick him up he's ranked 32nd overall in the preseason. Let's see. I'm probably not going to be able to get him, and I'll tell you why. Alabama Sweatstorm is, this is my friend Chris Atwater. He's a very good player. You see, he's in third place. I'm in second place. I'm ahead of him by a half game. I just want to keep the viewer apprised of Sam's commentary here because it's good. Sam, you should come on this show, man. You'd be a good partner here. He says of Siakam, he does a lot of spin moves, and his moves, I'm going to be honest, are very predictable, but they work. That's right. He is a player in the vein of Dan Ratner because my pump fake gets people all the time. And it looks really obvious, but you can't stay on the floor for it. You just can't. You think I'm going to shoot it, and I don't. And here's the thing. If you didn't jump for it, I would shoot it. That's the problem. You'd lose either way. So I'm going to see if I can get him from Alabama Sweatstorm. But the reason that I can, and Sam, this goes to your question or your comment about the trade market being slow. I know Alabama Sweatstorm's not going to be swindled. And I'm not even looking to swindle anybody. But here's the thing that he did. It's so interesting. You guys may remember that I talked about this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. He had a way of doing statistical analysis of the players. He essentially did the same thing I did, but in a different way. What I did is I drafted 2 players at the top, really a big 3, but my third one was on the cheap side. I got Harden and LeBron. They just came at the right price in an auction draft. Then I got Chris Paul as my third. I knew he was underrated. He always ranks pretty much in the top 10, but you can get him for $25, $30. So I got those 3. And then I brought in value as we went forward. What Chris did is he got all kinds of mid-range value. They were great values. He valued them appropriately, and then he traded them for those top-level guys. So he got, I think it was like, for the price of $80 of his draft, he got $150 worth of player. And who did he trade for? He got Karl Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler. And we can go and look at what he got them for. Actually, let's quickly do that, and then I'm going to get back to Pascal Siakam and whether I can somehow pry him away. I got Harden. Question from Sam is, how much did I get Harden for? I got Harden for $85. Usually in my league, Harden would have gone for over $100. He's just that good of a player, and you can get players at deals at the end of the draft. So I was pleased with that. I don't even like rooting for Harden, I have to say, but I like winning. So I decided I'd go ahead and get him. Now let's look at the trades. I want to see who did Alabama Sweatstorm give up in these trades. Okay. Here he is. He gets Karl Anthony Towns and Lonzo Ball for Brook Lopez, Jamal Murray, and CJ McCollum. Jamal Murray and CJ McCollum, what's the budget? It's $200. Sam, you're asking to show the rank. You mean our league rankings? I can show you the league rankings. The budget is $200 overall. But first, let me finish this trade talk. See, Jamal Murray and CJ McCollum, these were kind of mid-range guys that Chris got, and they performed well, especially CJ McCollum. And then he dealt him for essentially Karl Anthony Towns. Brook Lopez was also a great value. Now, he didn't draft Brook Lopez. You can see he actually got Brook Lopez in this deal to get Jimmy Butler, but he dealt DeMar DeRozan and Brandon Ingram, both players that he got at good value. So, brilliant. Okay, let's show you the rankings, Sam. Here we go. Now, I'm Hot Rod Time Machine. You can see I'm a game and a half back of Oubre's used socks. This is my cousin Andrew, who is my arch rival in fantasy. And I won 8-1 last week. Ross the boss, he complains a lot that he wasn't able to pick up players. But here's the thing, Ross the boss, you didn't actually have that many players out, first of all. Secondly, you've got Russell Westbrook on your team. He is an anchor. You got to get rid of him. You might even want to cut him. Trade him for somebody cheap. Let's see. Sam says, and also that is a lot of money for Harden. I don't think I would have done spent 65. True, but you got to know your league, Sam. In my league, you're never going to get Harden for 65. You're never going to get any of the top players for 65. If you're not going to bid 65, you're going to end up having to do what Chris did or build a team that has a lot of those mid-range guys and win with those guys. I'll show you what they went for, actually. Let's see. Draft results. Where are they? Well, wait. Let me finish showing you the standings first. Okay? So I won 8-1 last week, and I was in first place. How did Oubre's used socks move above me? He went 9-0, and it shot him above me. But I still, something about my math's not working because I'm 1.5 behind. I don't know what happened there. That's pretty strange. Anyways, it was something like that. And Oubre's used socks, he benefited from a player not having picked up enough players off waivers. So he had a short bench and he was complaining about it. And I was like, yeah, but see, you got to know your league rules. In our league, you have 1 day for waivers because we didn't want it to just be a numbers game. And so he had to figure out how to get those players, and he didn't put in enough claims. And unfortunately, that was against my arch rival, Oubre's used socks. And that is why he's ahead of me right now. Alabama Sweatstorm is my friend Chris Atwater, who I'm trying to get Pascal Ciaco from. I'm going to work on that soon. Below that, we've got some. Now, Phil from Jersey, that is Ross the Boss. He just lost 8-1. His record was very good before then. He's a good player, but he did get thumped last week. And I lost to Ubre's used socks the week before 6-3 because he maneuvered it so he had so many games. He had 48 games. I only had 43, and he beat me on the numbers. And then he manipulated the turnovers right at the end. That's something you want to do. So let's see. Show us the worst team, Sam Jacobowitz says. Well, the worst team, I'm just going to, I think we can see. 4 seasons total manscaping. Now, with a name like that, you'd expect that they'd be great. Everyone remembers Rudy Giuliani's crowning moment at 4 seasons, not manscaping, landscaping, but he's 4 seasons total manscaping. Worst team. Let's look at the rankings overall. We'll see if they made some adjustments. Now, this is a player, Casey. This is not to be confused with Casey Scheinvold. This is a different Casey. I won't say his last name because I don't have his permission. I'm respectful like that. But he's got Bradley Beal. He's got Jason Tatum. And he's got Kyrie Irving. He's got Bam Adebayo. How is this guy in last place? This is a 12-team league. Well, let's see. First of all, he's got a lot of injured players. He's got Derek White, Cole Anthony, Kevin Love, Bogdan Bogdanovic. We already talked about him. Cut him loose. You need to put Derek White in that spot, Casey, if you're watching, and pick up somebody else. Now, you've also got Derrick Rose should not be owned. Sorry, man. No. He's injury prone. He doesn't rank well. Let's see how he's done in the last 14 days. My usual rule. Even in the last 14 days, 182. Josh Richardson, 213. These are not the kind of players that I would want on my team. And it's not just because their numbers are bad, but their numbers are kind of so obviously bad that it does not compute. Sam Jacobowitz comments, I don't think he knows how to work the numbers, and he just goes off who the best guys are. In a points league, he's amazing. Now, that's a really good point, Sam. People overestimate points. They think that points are the best, and in a points league, that's great. But in actuality, as Sam's pointing out, in category leagues, those players don't fit so well. So I think you're right. I think it's a good diagnosis, Sam. I told you should come on the show. You're a fantasy sports doctor. Let me just show you my team by comparison so you can see the rankings. And I'm not doing this to brag. I'm doing this to show you the numbers. In the last 30 days, I only have, see these players with their rankings being so low, they're injured players. I picked up Otto Porter and Taurean Prince to put in my injured list. Now, here's a little tip for you, Ross. Welcome back, Cornman. I see that you're back. I picked up these injured players because if they come back off the injured list midweek, I've got an extra player if I want. I could say, all right, well, I'm going to cut David Nwaba because, he's hot right now, but I don't need to own him. So he ranks 180th. The lowest player ranked I have in the last 30 days is DeAndre Jordan with 113. I just picked him up, and I picked him up for these blocks. And I also have great free throw percentage, so I can absorb this free throw problem. Now, okay, I'm going to get to the draft numbers, Sam, because I think we should go over that. But Cornman has a question first. Someone just offered me De'Aaron Fox for Ben Simmons. What do I do? I think I answered a question from Ross the Boss with these exact players last week. Let's see. Okay, what do you do? So they offered you De'Aaron Fox. You have Ben Simmons. I make sure that I'm interpreting that correctly. Cornman, let's see. Ben Simmons, what's he been doing? What have you done for me lately, Ben Simmons? I've actually never owned Ben Simmons in basketball because he's preseason ranked 25th. Not the kind of player that Hot Rod Time Machine ends up owning, because I usually end up owning 2 players in the top 10, 1 player in the top 30, and usually one that has better shooting percentages. I just am a sucker for those. And so he's just kind of a mid-range guy. So Ben Simmons ranks 49th overall. His free throw percentage is better than ever. And this is in the last 14 days. He's been putting up, pretty solid numbers. Now, let's see what he's been doing in the last 30 days. And let's check the average. 41 41st overall. Okay. 20.2 points, 7.9 rebounds, 7.7 assists, 1.6 steals. He's really putting up exceptionally good numbers in the last 30 days. Let's check out, what is De'Aaron Fox doing? I'm just going to put in Fox because De'Aaron is just too much to handle right now. I can't do it. It's the other way around. You get Simmons, he gets Fox. Okay, I'm glad you told me that. All right. So Fox, also not a great free throw percentage. Interesting. Now, look, he's another guy that I don't usually know much about. He's ranked 38th, just the kind of player that I don't usually go for. Sam's saying he would take Simmons in a heartbeat. I'm leaning that way too. I just want to check. Oh my God. Yes. In the last 14 days, he ranks Fox as 172nd, 154. Now let me just check the averages because I don't know if he's been out. Has he been out? His averages also look. Okay. Go click accept now. Do it right away before it gets rescinded. Go forth, Cornman, and take Ben Simmons for yourself. Okay, let's look at the draft now. Draft results. I love the league. For a fantasy manager, these leagues are just like candy. You get to see all these different stats and things you want to look at. So actually, I got Harden for $83. But look, Luka Doncic went for $88. I'd rather have Harden, period, let alone for $5 extra. Let's see. Some other good buys. Well, Zion Williamson ended up being a good buy at 37. Not the kind of player that I would usually have. I got LeBron for 61. So that's below the threshold of what Sam was saying he would spend. You could have gotten him for that. Kawhi Leonard for 59. I got to tell you, though, this draft was a little bit strange. Usually players go for higher than this. There's a bidding war. But when your league changes and there's certain different players, then you'll find the bidding changes. I didn't expect to get Harden. I wasn't trying to get Harden specifically. I was trying to make sure that I got two of the top players and somebody who is excellent at a lower cost. And here he is, Chris Paul at $23. Now, you see above it, John Collins, $38. $15 more than Chris Paul, not worth it. Even Jimmy Butler, $41. Chris Paul at 23 ended up working out better. Bam Adebayo at $41 was a great buy. Better than Trae Young at 67. Kevin Durant at 54. Oh, look, he changed his name to Impeach Commish. That's so cute, Ross. Oh my goodness. If I didn't know you, I would think, what's wrong with this man? So, but you're seeing these different, okay, Impeach Commish. No, Ross, impeach yourself. Russell Westbrook for $37? Why did you do that to yourself? Listen, we have to pause at that point. When I see, my heart hurts for you, Ross. That hurts. So listen, for Ross, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like. If you like what you're hearing, accept what Ross did with Russell Westbrook, and put your comments below, and I will answer them myself. Okay, let's look at some other things. Lonzo Ball for $11 actually ended up being a great value. But see, at the back end of the draft, you can end up getting all of those kind of values. Let's see. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I love saying his name. $77. He hasn't ended up working out, but not a bad deal. But look, Sam, here's a guy you could have gotten for under 65. Damian Lillard, $63. Jason Tatum, $64. Kawhi Leonard, $59. Everybody thought Kawhi Leonard was going to sit all the time. And yeah, he sits some, but you never really know. People thought LeBron James was going to sit all the time, but you know who didn't? Me. Because if you understand players like LeBron, you know this is a year he wants to win MVP. He doesn't want to sit. He's tired of people who are not as good as him winning the MVP. The real MVP of the NBA every year since he's come in has pretty much been him. Maybe not his rookie year, but close. He's the MVP of the league in terms of bringing actual value to the league. Let's look at some other values. Oh boy, this one hurts. Devin Booker, $40. we know he is severely underperformed. Whereas you get Joel Embiid for $37. I mean, look, hindsight's 2020. We'll all look back on these things and say, oh man. I mean, Pascal Ciaco for $28. I wanted Siakam, but I had already bid too much money at that point. So it's always fun to me to look back at a draft. Look at this. Great pick, Ross. This makes up for your Russell Westbrook. LaMelo Ball, $6. He's been great. He's been better than Lonzo. $22 for Zach LaVine. Nice job, Chris Atwater. Beautiful. Let's see. What else do we got here? Jamal Murray for 23. Pretty good. Oh, here's a great buy. Fred VanVleet for $15. I love looking back at this stuff. This will tell you why some of these teams have ended up being so good. Now, I'm going to go back, see if I can look into getting Pascal Siakam in the time that we have left. I know it's going to cost an arm and a leg, but here's the thing. I spelled that wrong. Pascal Siakam. Okay, we'll go to Alabama Sweatstorm. What's he going to want? This is the thing. If you're going to do a trade, yes, Cornman, do the trade. Yes, do it now. Run! And then tell us. And if it gets vetoed, you can sick me on them. I shouldn't veto your trades. You have great trades on the books. Okay, so I'm going to see what does Alabama Sweatstorm need. Now, he's a very good team. So look at all these numbers under 100. This is in the last 30 days. He's clicking on all cylinders. The only players, Rui Hachimura, that was actually one of the first questions we had on a Q&A. He's not a player that I would own because he's just not giving enough. I mean, his steals are middling. His blocks are terrible. Doesn't do much. I mean, his assists are fine. No, sorry. His rebounds are fine. His assists are terrible. His points, not very good. He's just not doing much of anything. This is a kind of player that maybe Chris knows something that I don't, and the stats are going to change. He's a stats man. So, and I got to give him respect. He's done a good job. It was him and me that were after Nerlens Noel. And some people said, no, look at his minutes are bad and he doesn't do it. Look at the blocks. 26 blocks in the last 30 days, 9 steals with decent percentages, good field goal percentage. That's a pretty valuable player to just scoop up off nothing. This ranking 91 for Karl Anthony Towns. Sam says Doncic just went crazy. I'll tell you what, I'll work on a Pascal Siakam trade later. I'll report back to you because it's going to take me some time to really think this through. What I'm going to do, though, just so you know, is I'm going to look through and look at the stats. What does he need? And what do I need? And see if it matches up. So we'll get back to that. Let's check on what Luka Doncic just did. He went crazy. All right. Sam's watching the game, I assume. It looks like did he just win the game on a 3? Looking like it. Time ran out in the 4th, and they won by 3. Let's see. 11 for 23, 31 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds, a steal. Well, listen, those are very good numbers, but I think whatever Sam saw, it was even better than that. Sometimes the numbers don't show. Who knows? Maybe he did those stats in like one quarter mostly. So, Sam, you can report back on what it was specifically. Now, I am always looking to make my team better. If you want to win, that's what you got to do. 2 very clutch shots, Sam. I will watch them. I was going to say on SportsCenter, but I haven't watched SportsCenter in a long time. Sorry, ESPN. Since the decision, I haven't been watching it that much. And your ratings are going down. Everything's streaming now. Everyone's watching the internet. People are watching MFSN. Don't you understand? Fine. No, you don't understand. I know. So here's the thing. I'm assessing my team. I picked up David Nwaba because he's kind of hitting on all cylinders right now. But Doncic hit the winner. Cool. I'm looking at what they've done in the last 30 days. Nwaba, not that good. But why do I have him? Well, right now he just was on a hot streak. And here's the other thing. I didn't know if I was going to get DeAndre Jordan. and he was getting some steals and blocks, and I needed blocks especially. But I got DeAndre Jordan, so now I certainly don't need David Nwaba for anything. Batum has really fallen off. Ross the Boss will be laughing about that for a long time. Now, that's in the last 7 days, but in the last 14 days, 146, still totally ownable, despite shooting 28.6%. Wow. It's his steals and blocks, though, man. I'm telling you, that's the way to keep value on your team. At the very least, if you're going to have a middling player, make sure they're doing something for you. See, David Nwaba ranks 128 in the last 14 days. So he's had some good days. But other than that, Miles Bridges is somebody I could consider moving on from. And what I'm going to start to do, we're going to wrap up the show on this, guys. I have started, and I was given this idea by Anthony Quintano, who is our social media expert. And he said it would be great if I would follow and take snapshots of my team every day and talk about what I'm thinking. So I'm going to do that. Right after this, I'm going to get off this, take a snapshot of my team and tell you what's going on in my mind. And it's going to be in a thread so we can follow it all year. That's going to be fun, hopefully for all of you, but it'll be fun for me, definitely. And I look forward to talking it over with you. Let me remind you all, subscribe, hit like if you like what you're hearing. Ring the bell for notifications, put your comments below, and I'll get back to you and come back next week. Same time, same channel, every week. I look forward to it. And Sam Jacobowitz says, why are people not talking about Giannis in the MVP? He's been better than last year. That's a great question, Sam. I'm going to need to investigate that next time. We're going to hold on to that question or put it in the chat, and I will definitely answer you there. Thank you for watching, everyone. This has been MFSN's Q&A.
We're gonna set the internet on